Hi, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite warm-up exercises called Operation Bow. Have you ever played that board game called Operation? My kids and I like to play that game. There's a picture of a man having an operation, and he has lots of incisions in his tummy, and you're the surgeon, and you've got some tweezers, and you've got to try and pick out different organs and bits and pieces and bones and things like that from his body without touching the side of the incisions. And if you do, his nose buzzes. He goes, "Ow!" Well, it's a really fun game. You have to have a very steady hand to play that. Well, on the violin, we need to be equally good. We need to be good at that game in a similar way. So one of the major issues that we have when we start playing the violin is to try and play in one string without hitting the ones on either side. So what I would recommend is that you play perhaps just some open strings on the it doesn't matter where you start off. Why don't we just do the D string for now? And I'd like you to try and start at the heel of the bow and go to the tip and try not to hit the strings on either side. So we'll do the D string and the A string now, but you can do all four strings once you get the idea of what you have to do. So try to play with your bow parallel to the bridge. Try not to play over the fingerboard, sort of roughly halfway in between here and here, maybe a little bit closer to the fingerboard would be a good place. You can experiment with that depending on what sort of sound you want to get. So I'm going to play quite a slow bow, and I'm going to try, when I get to the middle, I want to try and open out my forearm. And I'm going to be pressing on my first finger. So whenever I get out to the tip, there's a little bit of pressure. So if I lift the tip up, you can see that the bow springs back. So that'll, as you go from the heel of the tip, you go from weight to pressure. So we need a bit of that pressure. We don't want to play with a wonky bow like that. So that's why we open our forearm out like the hinge of a door. So that's another little issue. And while you're doing this, just generally think about your bow hold and some of those little tips that I've given you. Every time you stop and start, go through your bow checklist. It's really smart. Yeah? So here we go. So just play the D string. Here we go. So from the heel to the tip. Really slow. So already it hit. Ow! Okay, I'm going to go back again. Look, I'm going to make a mistake. So what did I have to do? What did I do? Did you see that I adjusted my elbow a little bit? And that made all the difference, and it got me back on track again. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to try and make a bigger sound. Fantastic. And then I'm going to move on to the next string. So the A string now. Do you see the way I'm looking at the bow as I'm doing it? That helps me to make the adjustments as well. I'm going to try making a bigger sound now. Try playing near the bridge. A bit more pressure. So that's it. So enjoy the sound that you're making. As you play, try and experiment with where you play in relation to the end of the fingerboard and the bridge, and the amount of weight and pressure that you use at the tip, and try and make a lovely, big, open, beautiful sound. Because that's why we play the violin after all, isn't it? Because it makes such a gorgeous sound, and we just love the sound of the violin. So that will help you a lot in as a warm-up in everything else you do in your pieces or your scales or your little note chart. You know, you'll notice hopefully that'll make a difference. You know, so instead of going like that, so have fun with that. It does get a little bit harder as well whenever you put your fingers down, because you don't want the inside of your finger touching the other strings. Because that'll sound really awful. If you hit one of the other strings and the inside of your finger, you're not playing in your fingertip, you'll get that sound, that horrible sound there. So you have to really play in your fingertips. So it is possible, but you just need to be aware, you need to listen, be very self-critical, and make tiny little adjustments that really you're the only one who's aware of. So have fun with that. Until the next video, fiddly bye bye!